Hi everyone, this is a video to show you how to use stem changing verbs. Unfortunately, stem changing verbs are just those that cannot be conjugated in the same way as any other regular verb in Spanish. So, I have a list of them here. There is only 3 different types of verb, mainly 2. As you can see, there is E to IE verbs here. There's O to B verbs here, and then there's just a U to UE verb, which is jugar, to play, a very useful verb. So first of all, just to talk about this, what the stem actually is. The stem is the area of the verb, everything except for the ending, because there's 3 types of verbs in Spanish. We've got AR verbs, we have got ER verbs, and we've got IR verbs. So the stem is everything. This is first of all to identify, these is to identify what type of verb it is, but after you take this away, this part is the stem. And very importantly, we need to start with something, if you don't know it already, which are our personal pronouns to start with, okay? So I'm going to open this up, my marker. So the first one is yo, which is I, tú, which is you, él or ella, which is he and she, nosotros, which is we, then vosotros, which is you all, and finally they is ellos. They are personal pronouns. Okay, there are 6 of these. They're always in the same order, and we need to know those. Also, there's 6 of something else as well. So there are 3 types of verbs in Spanish, like I mentioned before. We have AR verbs, we have ER verbs, and we have IR verbs. Okay, we have different endings for each one, okay? So as you can see, we got 6 of these pronouns, and now we're going to have 6 endings for each of those as well. And these directly match up to these people. Okay, so first person, for AR verbs, so for a verb, for example, I'm going to write down here, we had in the last video, estudiar, to study. ER verb was, what did we use the last time? I can't remember, but we're just going to use, for example, let's go with comer. And finally, an IR verb could be escribir. Okay, so, but these are not stem changing verbs, these are just normal verbs. But we need to know these as well. So, estudiar, to study, comer, to eat, escribir, to write. Okay, so for AR verbs, which is verbs ending in AR, we have O for I, which is also number 1. As for you. A for he or she, amos for we, ais for the, you plural, and they is an. ER, o, es, e, hemos, ais, en. And similarly, for IR verbs, it's very close to this one, except for this part, but o, es, e, and this is where it changes, imos. Imos, then this one as well, is, and back the same again, and these are endings. Okay, so really quickly, I don't want to do too long in this video because the last one was very long, but those are our pronouns, those are our endings. These need to be, we need to take care of these, okay? I'm gonna leave that to the side for a second. So, come back to this here, we have or stem changing verbs. These are the verbs that change their stem. If you still don't know what that is, no worries, we're going to find out now in a second. So what I said earlier was, if you take off this part is the stem. If you take off the ending, this part is the stem. And there is wherever I've underlined, that's where this change is going to happen. The O is going to change to UE here, the E is going to change to IE here. Some of them, you just have to be aware that it might be the second E, for example, in preferred ear, and there's one other as well there. Okay, so a way that I found very useful, and I know we did this in class as well, I made two nice little boots here because I have plenty of free time, just to show it. Okay, so there's a rule with the stem changing verbs. Okay, and I'm going to go back to my pronouns again, and I'm going to highlight nosotros, and I'm going to highlight vosotros. Persons 4 and 5. Persons 4 and 5. Okay. Well, ask yourself why. Okay, you might remember from the class. If you're new to seeing this, well, we're going to find out now in a second, so don't worry. Why did I highlight nosotros and vosotros? Persons 4 and 5. Well, it's because these the people 4 and 5, which is we and you plural, they do not have a stem change. They do not take a stem change. So what I did was, I did like a nice little boot out here, and we can also call these boot verbs to help us explain. Okay, so the way I do it is, remember we always have 6 people. We always have 6 endings for each verb. So I made 6 lines here to represent this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6th one inside the boot. And the 2 that are outside of the boot, they are the exception. They do not take the stem change. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to show you how to work these verbs now. So all we have to do is go back to our list, which I'm going to post. And we're going to go for, for example, we'll go for empezar because we have to start. Okay, and this means that the E changes to IE. Okay, for every person except for nosotros and vosotros. So, going back to our pronouns again, you can keep this on. This is important. If you're doing a test or something, it's important to write out your pronouns and all these endings. You could write this on a part of your exam. Say, for example, you had a time to study, half an hour before your test. If you learned this off and you knew how to do it, well, why not write it on somewhere in your test? You're not going to lose marks for doing that. You're going to probably gain marks for having this information fresh in your head and fresh on the paper. So I always have this to my side. Like, I went to university in Spain, and the native people, they didn't have to do that. But because I was from a different country, I needed all the help I could get. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here. You can't see it, but I can, because I'm the one that's doing it. But you know the sheet already, okay? These are the endings. I'm going to show you as I move on. Anyways, pick a first verb, which was empezar, if I remember correctly, which means to start, because we have to start. We're already 8 minutes in. Empezar. Okay. Go back to our list again. We have to remember that the stem changes at a certain part. So, empezar, the E changes to IE, the second E. Okay, so the second E, I'm going to highlight that. Okay, what does it change to? That E changes to IE. So E to IE. Okay, that means then, remember what I said, we take off the AR and we write everything out, except this time we're going to change this E to IE. So we're left with EMP, and now we put IE, and then the Z is still there, sorry. Okay, and we have one final step. We have MBS there, and the final step is, this first person, remember, was yo, which is I. And you have to question again, what was the verb ending in? Well, it was ending in AR. So what's the ending we need to put on now to the verb for I? It's O. So the verb changes to empiezo. Okay, second person. It's going to be the same. Anything inside the boot now is going to have this IE in it, okay? So empiezo. Z. And what's the ending? It's as. empiezas. Hope you can read that. My marker's not the best for this page. I don't have much space. I should have made it bigger. Next one, he or she. Red. Empieza. Going back up here. Sorry. Empieza. Do you see the way all the numbers correspond? So this is why it's important to write it down on your test, for example, or when you're studying. Okay, so now we get to person 4 and 5. 4 and 5. Remember, I highlighted this now. So what happens here is nothing really, okay? Well, it doesn't change to IE simply, okay? So what we write out instead is everything here except for the AR, but we do not do the change. So we just write it how it is there. So E, M, B, E, Z. And our ending for 4. Sorry, 4. So here, 4. Amos. Empezamos. We start. Next one, 5. Vosotros. You all. 5 is ice. So you write out EMPEZ because it's not a part of the stem change. Sorry, I made a mistake. I'm reading what I did before. Empezáis. Do you see that? Because it's ice. 5th person. Sorry, I read 4th again. Silly me. Okay, last one. It's inside the boot again. That means it has this change. So we'll write out what we had before until we get to the red. IE. And then we have they. And sorry, the Z as well. Because it's everything a part of the stem is everything except for that. Empiezan. They start. Okay. All good? Right, next one. I'm going to do one more really quickly, just to hopefully we get it. Come back to our verb list. I'm going to go for volver this time. To return. Okay, so it's O to UE. So I'm going to write volver. The O in this case changes to UE. And every person except for nosotros, vosotros, which is outside of the boot. Okay, so I'm going to do this quickly. So, yeah, I'm going to do it in the 2 colors again, just so we can keep that. What ending do I put on? For an ER verb. Back to this. It's O as well. They're all O in this ER verb for the first person as well. Hold on. So vuelvo. Vuelves. Vuelve. Then going back to this part, the confusing part. We write out this part without the UE change. So it is V-O-L-V. Then volvemos, because it's an ER verb. Do we all get that? 5 is volváis. Sorry, volvéis, because it's an ER verb. ER. See, I make lots of mistakes as well. And then 6th person, we'll come back to the stem chain. So it's V, U-E, L, and then the V, still part of the stem. Ending is N. Melvin. So, looking at those 2, you see how that works. Good. And it's really important, your pronouns and your endings. I would stress to study this. That's the first thing you should write down on the page of paper. And then you just need to know there are 2 groups. Most of them fall in the E to IE. Some of them fall in the O to UE. And there's only one then that follows in the U to UE. I'll put this on Google Classrooms. Anyways, if you have any questions, email me, message me in Google Classrooms. And I'll see you in the next video or the next class.